What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to the channel. Yesterday we got another hotfix for Dungeon Defenders Awakened, and this one is going to address quite a few issues, particularly with runes. Now this one came in last night. If you don't see it on Steam, make sure to restart, and as always, there will be a link to the patch notes down in the description below. First things first, the Lichen King was changed. We received a lot of feedback about the Lichen King fight, with many players saying it felt unfair across all stages of play. While they originally aimed to simply tone down the damage over time effect, that adjustment ended up breaking it entirely. As a result, the dot effect applied during the Lichen King's howling state should no longer occur. So the Lichen King got toned down a bit for everyone. Now, a lot of people didn't know why, but runes, of course, have not been dropping. There was some sort of a crash issue related to when a mob would drop runes, and runes were only available from the victory chest. This, of course, made it near impossible to get the runes that you're looking for, particularly at a high-quality state. But even just getting even lower-quality runes was definitely a little bit of a chore. So I think this is a temporary fix. Let's read through it here. The rune crash was identified as a major issue affecting progression, so we've made significant adjustments to how runes drop in campaign. Runes can now drop directly from completing campaign missions, with their preferred maps serving as guaranteed locations for these drops. The quality of the runes have been increased to allow higher quality drops, giving players a better chance at godly or transcendent runes. Runes are weighted on a scale from 1 to 10, and some runes will drop in lower quantities than others. Now, I can tell you, I've talked to a lot of people that have been farming these runes, and they said that it's very, very easy. Like, you know, if you're running it on Massacre Hardcore, you've got a really good chance of getting a godly version of whatever the rune is for that map. So, I think this is probably a temporary fix, as it just kind of makes runes really trivial to get, but there was a huge problem before where people couldn't really get the runes at all. So this is definitely a good step in the right direction, particularly for anyone that was returning to the game, or anyone that did a fresh start and didn't have runes yet. This is going to be the way to get your runes. So definitely go through the campaign maps on the higher difficulties. Of course, the higher difficulties will have the highest chance of dropping the godly versions of the runes you're looking for. Now, there was some defense changes. The Apprentice, the Magic Blockade Tower Health Hero Stat Scaler, increased to 1.5 from 1. The DST runes AoE was increased from 450 from 250. Now, that Deadly Striker Tower rune, on paper, looks like the best thing since sliced bread. But, of course, at 250 range, it was pretty much not really doing a ton, unless mobs were just right standing on top of each other. Like, if you had a bunch of mobs grouped, like on a poison gas trap or something like that, then, you know, you would see the effect of that Deadly Striker rune. However, this should help it a little. The range got almost doubled on the explosion. The Spike Blockade Tower Health Scaler was increased on the Squire, and the tower damage was increased. The Spike Blockade now applies a 5% slow for 3 seconds to attackers. Obviously, that's not huge, but it is a bonus. Bowling ball projectiles now explode on impact, dealing 50% physical AoE damage. Now, I'm not really sure how this works together with the rune. I know that if you don't have the rune equipped, they literally just do that. They blow up on impact. I'm not sure if they're getting these explosions when you're using the rune and they're piercing the targets. We'll have to check that out, or somebody could clarify down in the comments below. But I do know for a fact that people are saying the bowling ball is just absolutely shredding. So something to take a look at. Sniper Cannon no longer prioritizes copter flares. The Slice and Dice Blockade health was increased. Slice and Dice Blockade rune damage was increased. Now, this is very curious because this particular rune is one of the most defense-changing runes out of all of the runes in the game. I mean, it makes the Slice and Dice like an entirely different tower. Now, with that in mind, there's a whole lot of cool factor involved with it. However, there was the problem in the past where the Slice and Dice couldn't be targeted, kind of like an aura. It could be targeted by a Djinn, of course, but like a regular mob couldn't go up and slice it or slap it if you were using the rune. However, it would still take AoE damage, which means as a kobold ran past it and died and blew up, the kobolds would eventually take out your Slice and Dice. Now, we'll definitely have to play around with it. The Slice and Dice, of course, is a super cool tower, and I would love to be able to use that rune and use it in some sort of offensive fashion, as it's just got a whole lot of feel-good to it, there's no doubt. The Huntress, the Poison Gas Trap rune damage was reduced. That's the damage bonus. Was reduced from 200% to 150%, and now affects up to 21 targets, where before I think it was affecting 7. This would brick quite a few builds if you were relying on the Poison Trap to actually gas the enemies and stun them. 21 targets now, it should make it more useful. However, I'm not certain, like in survival situations, or particularly like high-end survival situations, I think this particular rune might still be one that you don't want to prioritize using. We'll have to play around with that and see. 21 targets is a lot more targets, of course, but when it comes to like holding back a horde of baddies in survival, 21 is not really that much. Poison Dart Tower projectiles pierce 1 extra target. This is absolutely huge because the Poison Dart Tower is a beast of a defense. If you can place it in a way where all of the darts actually hit an enemy, it just does crazy good damage. This is now piercing, which, you know, just doubles that right on up. The Inferno Trap got some adjustments, as did the Thunder Spike Trap. The Inferno Trap previously just wasn't really worth the DU. After you upgraded it, and if you had a buff beam on it, it just didn't put out the amount of damage compared to like using an explosive trap, and it was more expensive. So, did get some changes on the Inferno Trap and the Thunder Spike Trap. The Thunder Spike, of course, has been used pretty heavily in the past just for memes, but it could be something fairly useful once again. The Guardian got some changes, and one of these changes actually bricked the Holy Bulwark. The Holy Bulwark's protective ring now scales with range. Holy Bulwark's tower health hero stat scaler was increased. Holy Bulwark does not benefit from the striking gemstone. That would completely break it, making it map wide. Now, while trying to implement the range scaler for the Holy Bulwark, they broke the protective effect. So it's a known issue. You're not going to want to use your Holy Bulwarks, as you may have been using them previously, to protect various defenses. Obelisk got straight up buffed. That is going to be worth checking out and seeing, you know, if it's going to be useful in any situations. Now, there was some additional changes made. Helping Hand variants no longer cost build mana to repair defenses. So if you want to use your Helping Hand to help you keep things repaired, it is now going to do it at no cost. All of the Corgi items, which previously were not tradable, are now tradable, so you can, you know, give Corgis to your friends or an alt or whatever the case is. The build mana was adjusted on quite a few different maps: Lost Metropolis, Bazaar, Foundries, and Foundries and Forges subsequent waves, and as well, giving a little bit, or actually giving less there. But Metropolis got a bit of a boost. That one, of course, was, you were starting off with 160. Same thing with Bazaar, which basically meant you had to run around and kill everything yourself, because 160 just wasn't getting too much done for you. It's now 360 on Lost Metropolis and 315 on Bazaar, so you will be able to get some defenses built there now to get through that wave 1. The Rift Corgi is going to be granting 5% Rift Armor. The Gold Ramster speed debuff now correctly applies for 5 seconds. All yellow Ramster cans can now properly restore speed scaling before Sugar Rush loops. So there was a little bit of a bug with those before, and those are functioning properly now. There was a crash on the Castle Armory map that got fixed. The reflected field rune description got updated. Gold genies now properly apply a 50% stronger mana drain than the base genie with a 4-second cooldown. So if you're using it for mana, the gold genie is now going to pump out a little bit more. And then the Rift Genie now properly applies a 25% stronger mana drain than the base with a 6-second cooldown. So lots of bug fixes in this one, a few defense changes. The big part of it is without a doubt runes. If you've been playing and you don't have the runes, you know what I'm talking about. It's just been a real pain for folks to get runes, and that should be remedied. Now, as I mentioned, a link will be down in the description below if you want to head on over and check it out. When you first go to the Steam store page, the dates are a little whacked. Like, it's showing the very first hotfix after the first update as Saturday, November 22nd. If you scroll down to the next post, this is actually the hotfix that just rolled out. So anyway, that will get it for now. Thanks an absolute ton. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will see you soon. Take it easy.